everybody, and welcome to Roundtable Live for January 5th, 2016. My name is Bear, joined by Northern Lion Mathis Games and Rock Lee Smile. Hey there!
Hello.
What's up?
How you guys doing today?
We're back.
Yes, sir. We are back and ready for action in 2016. Welcome to the new year and the future, everybody. Hope you're enjoying our government-mandated hoverboards and instant injection cereal. That's my favorite new feature of 2016. Hope you're joining us here as well, either on or live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast. You might be catching the VOD over on youtube.com/BearTaffy or Mathis Games or Rock Lee Smile or Northern Lion sometimes if you feel like going back a few months. And you can also catch it over on iTunes. Jeez. If you're an audio-only listener, you can catch it on iTunes. Also, SoundCloud is where you can download the MP3 version of the files and keep it for yourself in whatever listening format you see fit. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us again. We apologize for missing last week, but we do have some juicy stories to talk about today as a result. First of all, we're going to be looking at Activision's acquisition of Major League Gaming, which is just a part of my life that's just been completely removed from the equation now, which is a weird feeling. Valve's Christmas disaster. We sort of want to touch on that a little bit, see what was going on over the holiday break. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about the end of sales figures for 2015, because numbers and data are just super fun if you're me. And that's pretty much it. we got you know, general Christmas and holiday nonsense to goof off about. We got Nick's Weird Games coming back, of course, and then we'll have Ask Roundtable, which is a mystery that I just realized I failed to mention to you guys, but it's not that big a deal. You can do that right
now, man.
I
could talk about the Australian Perth rapper named Mathis who just dropped his hot new jams, Triple J Unearthed.
Tell me you're reading that verbatim.
I am, actually.
That is awesome.
Triple J Unearthed.
All right, title track, what is it?
Perth rapper Mathis is the kind of modern, multifaceted artist that is difficult to pin down with any rigid genre boundaries.
Oh, you can't pin him down, man. He's all over the place. He's wild.
A ferociously talented songwriter, producer, poet, and performer. The genre bender's accolades include being the first ever rap or electronic artist to win the WA music industry's coveted Song of the Year award, being named in Triple J presenter Dom Alessio's top 10 tracks of 2013.
Oh, right. Triple J is a radio station.
That's it's a radio station, I've learned. Right. It is a song of his. It's called Enforceless. Enforceless.
You've always been about avoiding the enforcers, man.
Enforce space less. Enforce less.
Enforce less. Oh, damn. It's a statement, but also...
You guys, you remember when we were at PAX East, right? And Mathis went up to every single enforcer there and was like, what? You can't hold me down. I can't be pinned to one genre. I'm Mathis.
I also, you know, as the convention ended, I'd sit outside with my stack of CDs and I'd do the touch it, you buy it thing. Yeah. Oh, you would check out the CD? It's $5, dog. That's it. $5.
Triple J called it the hottest mix of 2013, even though it was released this year.
It's so good that his YouTube channel is called Official Mathis.
That is really good.
It's like he's actually taking aim directly at you. His video's from 2013, though.
I've been around since 2011, bitch, so fucking...
Yeah, but he only started caring, like, in 2013.
Yeah, when did you start caring?
I'd never care.
Major League Gaming has been acquired by Activision Blizzard to the tune of $46 million. Not really that much in the overall scheme of things. Nope. Yeah, that's not a big purchase or price tag. The acquisition was formally announced this week. There were rumors of it earlier on a few days ago. But now official, Activision Blizzard. And it looks like they're going to be purchasing this and sort of putting it under the branch of their media division as opposed to, like, you know, an actual Activision presence. I don't know really what that standard would be anymore, but there's obviously a lot of different diverse areas that Activision is trying to tackle now. They're going to rename this Activision Blizzard Media Networks. And sort of the big storyline behind it is what they're saying about this acquisition is that they're trying to turn MLG into the ESPN of esports, which we've heard before, right?
Yep.
Heard before a couple times. Do we need that?
Isn't there already, like, an ESPN of esports in its Twitch?
In ESPN?
Well, the ESPN...
Sort of with ESPN a little, yeah.
But, like, there's already... I mean, I guess the difference is that ESPN doesn't just show live sports. They also have, like, sports variety content. But, wait, I mean, like, 90% sports variety content, I guess. But I kind of think that it already exists in Twitch. I thought MLG, through the tournaments,
Yeah, so I guess it's important to sort of, I guess, explain what they mean by that when they say they want to be the ESPN of esports. There's a lot of things that ESPN brings to the table. I think they're really looking to try to become just like the hub of all things competitive gaming would be, I think, more of an accurate description, which they're not really looking like they're going in that direction being bought out.
Well, they were having issues, MLG.
Yeah, definitely.
MLG was really in its heyday back in like 2012. I remember that being like they had like MLGs all over the country, and those slowly started to die out. Back when, so MLG was like the home for StarCraft 2 tournaments. Back when StarCraft 2 was like the big esport.
Yep.
Then League of Legends had its own MLG tournament, but they broke away and did their own thing. And Dota 2 only and I say recently, within the past year or two, had an MLG tournament, but their main thing is the international. So their MLG's biggest games were like, first-person shooters, Halo, Call of Duty, and StarCraft has fallen away. So they've kind of like lost the big guns that bring in the biggest viewers. If you're not bringing in the biggest LoL competition or the biggest Dota competition, as of right now in this industry, you're not getting much. So
Right.
I wonder if with Blizzard buying it, it'll be their Activision Blizzard buying it. It'll be their big vehicle to kind of bring Overwatch to us as an esports, and Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm, even though that's kind of struggling as an esport right now. That'll probably be what I would assume they use it for. But yeah, MLG, after StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm came out and that competitive scene started to die off pretty quick, MLG also started to kind of die off along with it because that was one of its biggest things.
Yeah. So you're sort of pointing out what I think is one of the biggest problems for me immediately, which was that there's clearly going to be a bias for representing certain games now with Activision holding the reins here, right?
Yeah.
So you can't look at MLG as a neutral competitive platform anymore.
Well, I mean, they were never going to get LoL or Dota to show up. They were going to have their own little tournaments for them. Dota's little tournament at MLG wasn't huge. So it's not like they're going to lose that. I'm sure they'll keep Halo and COD and all that stuff because that's probably their biggest stuff right now. What else do they need to add? Bring in Rocket League, I guess? Like
They tried. They certainly tried, yeah.
But seriously, like what else? Like the biggest esports out there right now don't need MLG. They have their own thing.
Right.
So what are they going to do?
So it'll be a great platform for them to show
Exactly.
whatever their newest game is.
But
That's
I'm
all.
assuming for them for profit reasons, if there's another neutral game that comes out, why wouldn't they want to bring it in? Because I'm sure it would make them cash.
Yeah. So,
I
I mean,
think like $46 million seems like chump change. I mean, Activision just bought the King. That was it. The Candy Crush company. We talked about it on the show.
I think it was like $2 billion or something.
Yeah, it was something stupid. Like, well, let's check it out. I thought
Yeah.
it was like 5 Activision King purchase, but yeah, 5.9 billion.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah.
Crazy,
I remember
right?
that now.
And
Yeah.
then, I wouldn't assume that MLG is worth even close to the same as that, but I'm just saying, like, relative to the recent purchase, that seems like chump change. Maybe to just have like a brand that already exists with clout in esports. Like kind of the infrastructure is already there to throw tournaments, and then they don't have to worry about MLG's selection process of like, is this game going to be selected? Is this game going to be dropped at any given moment? So, I mean, it might just be a kind of a shortcut for them to get some legitimacy, and I kind of agree that it seems to make sense, considering Overwatch is coming out, maybe a good platform for Heroes of the Storm, and also, I mean, Call of Duty is still huge on MLG, right? And that's obviously that's Activision.
It's got to be their biggest game now, yeah. And
It
I
has
think
to
that
be,
explains it a lot too. Is the fact that Activision is, Call of Duty's under the Activision umbrella as well. And I remember, like, years ago, of course, I've mentioned quite a few times I used to be really into the MLG scene. I went and competed in one of the events, and I watched, like, every single one. This was back when Halo was popular, so it was probably 7 or 8 years ago. But even then, MLG, they were at the forefront at the time. But they had a noticeable falling out that sort of just began putting the writing on the walls. And it sort of started when Halo began losing popularity. And once that sort of took a nosedive, they had StarCraft 2, as Mathis mentioned, for a while. They tried things like Shadowrun, the old FPS Shadowrun that was
Oh my God,
sort
that was
of popular.
Huge disappointment.
Yeah.
The game was such a cool. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
What
Sorry,
was ridiculous about that too was that not only was it a new competitive game they were introducing that was like desperately trying to field competitors, but then like in the third tournament, the people that were winning every single Halo tournament just decided to sign up for the Shadowrun tournament because they could, and they fucking won. It's like
That's awesome.
funny.
they really were losing out on their competitive edge so early on, but all the same, I think that was when their downfall began. They've been in tremendous debt for years. That's not any hidden knowledge, you know. Like you can look at their annual reports. Yeah, so.
And I know, chat's like they still have StarCraft, and I understand they still have StarCraft, but like, and I know that's where they run the WCS, which is Blizzard's main StarCraft tournament. But you don't understand, StarCraft is a shadow of its former self when it comes to the competitive scene. There was a time where StarCraft was right up there in the top 3 on Twitch all the time. And that's just not how it is anymore. And I think that helped contribute to the downfall of MLG because MLG was like the prime place to go watch like StarCraft tournaments, and that went away.
Do you think they really have the credibility or the clout that we keep assigning them? I mean, I'm not really following this stuff.
They definitely used to, yeah.
Not anymore.
So like, why go after them instead of just start up a new organization that could do it better, and they already bring their own clout? Like,
well, I'm sure like
what do they
it
get
was
out
a
of
cheap
it?
purchase for them. Like I said, it was super cheap.
Yeah.
And that comes along with the people and some of the technology behind it, I guess.
They have
Maybe
a
it's
good
cheaper for them
brand, like,
and the brand as well. So I mean, I'm sure it's cheaper and easier for them to just absorb something that already exists than pump money into making something brand new for themselves.
like definitely it has like probably the highest recognition of any esports brand that I can think of. Like ESL might be bigger. They were purchased for I can't remember if it was more, but definitely MLG is more like instantly recognizable for a lot of people, I think.
It
What
almost
about
just boils
internationally,
down. It almost just boils down to like the retaining a customer versus getting a new customer argument too. You know, it's just like this is already here. We might as well work to sort of salvage what they've got left.
But if it has a reputation problem, that actually does more harm than good. And most of the time when I hear of MLG, it's usually to make fun of them or to, like, 360 no
Yeah, it's definitely got
jokes.
that connotation to it, right? And that's still hanging around. But they
That might just be me, though.
No. You're right. That I mean, colloquially, MLG is just basically associated with stupid gamer memes, right?
Right.
It's a lot of first-person shooter memes, but I do think like they have the budget to turn that name around. I don't think it's so in the dirt that it's impossible to drag back. And you have to think too, like, and this is a game I totally forgot about, but a really big growing esports scene is CS:GO.
Yeah.
And CS:GO, I mean, if they keep bringing that to MLG, that'll be huge. Another thing they could do is, and I'm spitballing here, but with Dota 2, the international thing they do now is they actually do like a full season all year. So they run little mini things to figure out placing. So when the international hits, it's all said and done. They could run those important, placing events at MLG if Blizzard was like to invest and bring them in, because that would bring in a lot of viewers as well. I mean, there's a lot of things they could do with MLG with the budget that Activision and Blizzard has that MLG couldn't do before because, like you said, they're so in the dirt, they're so in debt, and their name isn't really that big anymore. And I know CS has always been a thing, guys. I understand that, but like CS:GO has been on the rise the past couple of years, big time as far as.
It's surprising to hear that, but it's true. Like it's weird. CS:GO has been increasing in popularity lately.
It's starting to actually rival Dota for concurrent players, which is actually like
That's huge.
Probably 3 years ago, that would have been unfathomable when it came out and people were like, oh, this is kind of a disappointment. Plus, Dota 2 is getting enormous and it's free. You'd be like, nothing's ever going to touch Dota. But CS has been on the ascendancy for probably like 2.5 years now.
Counter-Strike has got to be like the most ubiquitously owned non-free game on Steam. Besides maybe Gary's Mod.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would love to know if it was that. I'm assuming it's a Valve game. It could be like Portal.
Maybe Left 4 Dead 2.
Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2. I was also thinking Gary's Mod or maybe CS:GO.
Yeah. But no, it really has gone up in popularity. And we got to put things in perspective here too. We're talking about MLG like being dragged through the dirt and how they're just in mountains of debt and all this stuff. Obviously MLG is if not one of the biggest, has to be in the top 3 competitive esports organizations. Like they're obviously big. They're huge. They're not too big to fail, of course. They probably would have gone bankrupt were it not for this buyout in a few years. assuming things continue to go the way they were, which it certainly looked like it was. And like I said, the writing has been on the wall there too. They started MLG TV, which was a direct competitor to Twitch, which did not go well at all. It had all sorts of problems. The video player is just garbage. They didn't have any built-in audience to bring with it. Nobody went to the MLG website looking for the live broadcasts until they started, doing the MLG TV stuff. But even then, it's a very difficult sell, People are just going to go to Twitch. People are just going to watch things on Twitch. That's just what the atmosphere is right now. That's just what people are gravitating toward. So it was sort of just digging their own coffin to try to begin competing with that in the first place, even though, a few years ago it didn't necessarily look like such a daunting task as it is now.
It's funny, like everybody's got to start somewhere. Like what was Mark Zuckerberg at before Facebook was made, and MySpace was the big dog, right?
Right.
So it's not fair to just paint it as like Twitch is this huge giant and MLG.TV is like this upstart that has no chance.
Right.
But Twitch was purchased for like 20 times the amount that MLG was just purchased for, and MLG holds like considerably broader assets. It's just kind of funny, I guess, that the competition went so awry, I guess.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's fair that I shouldn't do that. But at the same time,
I didn't think you were. I wanted to avoid it myself, being like, well, why would you even try?
Right.
Like,
Just give up. It's too late.
yeah, someone's already done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
It'll be interesting. I don't think we're talking from just an audience perspective, but I mean, Activision Blizzard is huge for a reason. I'm sure they know what they're going to do, and again, they got it for a steal. I think it's easier for them to do what they did, and I fully expect to see a rise, at least in MLG, like production quality and making them more visible and maybe making them a contender in some regards as far as viewership is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's an interesting part of it. I'm reading an article on Wired about the purchase, and they interview Mike Sepso.
I was reading an article on Wired yesterday about the recent acquisition.
No, I was reading about MLG's acquisition in Wired, and
yes, MLG.
Have you heard of the MLG?
Major League Gaming, if
That's
you
their
will.
stock symbol.
This is how I puff on my pipe. I go puff puff. You have to announce it for everyone in the room.
I don't want to get into that debate right now. Someone's talking about how WCS caters to like home countries and keeps out Koreans and stuff. But the reason that is done is because they're just Koreans dominate. They're too good.
Oh, no, that's the actual reason?
Yes, they don't.
I
no,
believe it, man.
I'm
yeah.
like, no, that's actually the reason. The Koreans crush like everybody that's not Korean, and
so they
people
actually
are
like gate them out to keep it competitive.
Yes, 100% correct. Yes,
they should do that in like the NBA.
What would they do? Which nationality?
No, just put Golden State in their own league for a couple years.
Yeah. It's just like the problem is, and I don't want to get into like whether I think it's right or wrong because I haven't been following it too closely. But the problem is like all these other like EG and all this stuff, it's taking away they just have no shot in the tournaments when they're going up against Koreans because the way the Koreans play StarCraft 2 and the way that they have their like setup is that they like play 12 hours a day every day.
It's a completely different culture.
It's a whole totally different culture.
Yeah.
But if it's right or wrong, I don't fucking know. I'm not getting into that. But it is what it is.
They should make the Korean League like its own like secret final boss. You know when you like
surprise, you didn't win.
When you play a video game and you like beat Rick Bruiser, you're like, oh, it's done. And then Nick Bruiser shows up. And
Can you imagine fucking training for all your life, though, as like a A-tier StarCraft player, go through the ranks, beat every competitor, and then it's like, all right, congratulations, you beat all the losers. Here's the actual competitive players to go against this year.
The secret league is now here.
Yeah.
They go through the game, they win, they can win like $50,000, and like you can keep your $50,000.
Oh, yeah.
Or
you could fight for $500,000 and have to play fucking, Korean player B because all the Korean players that I know have retired. But
oh, B is really good this year.
Yeah, he's doing
B
pretty
is
well.
incredibly.
is B better than EG?
Most people are better than EG.
You put B and EG together, and that's
Except
what you
in Dota.
do.
EG
when
Dota
you play B.
You put B and EG together, you almost get Belegda.
Yeah, you're only about
You just get
4
like
or 5 letters
off. All right. So Valve got fucked. Steam in particular. Over Christmas, You may have noticed a weird issue trying to log into your Steam account. In fact, the store pages, pretty much overall, were riddled with nightmares. There was a caching issue, apparently, is what they're telling us. Led to a lot of people's personal information, unfortunately, being exposed. If you logged into the Steam store page on Christmas Day, you might have seen an entirely different person's information, maybe in a different language, in fact. Russian, apparently, was pretty common. Since then, Steam has come out and said that nothing's wrong and to go back to your homes and everything's okay.
They also, on Tuesday, they released an official apology with like multiple paragraphs of explanations to what happened.
They did, yeah, that's
It was
fair.
a
They
weak
did say that.
apology, though.
Oh, it was weak, and it took way too long to come out, but at least they said something.
It also took way too long to say the word sorry. It was
Well, yeah,
almost
but-
literally the last word in the apology. they post this big thing explaining everything away because clearly they saw that the explanation they footed at first was not sufficient. So then they were like, well, okay, I guess we're sorry about it, but we're really not.
The reason I didn't take it as a sincere apology is because it was sort of intellectually dishonest in that they ignored the reason this is really a problem, and that's that some of the information that they gave out, well, it might be somewhat innocuous in and of itself. It can be used to socially engineer ways to get into people's other elements of their identity. Right. So if someone was particularly malicious and they needed certain bits and bobs, they could pull those bits together from what was released.
Yeah.
So in and of itself, maybe not so bad, but with that in mind, a big problem, and they didn't acknowledge
If
that.
this is the first time you're hearing about it, by the way, don't worry, everyth's fixed now.
Yeah.
So
This is
good.
not the first time you're hearing about it. I'm assuming, though.
Yeah. And we are 2 weeks late on it.
Right.
I agree with Nick in that the real problem here was not that the fear that a lot of people had where like someone could get into your Steam account and then like gift themselves stuff. Like that didn't even cross my mind. If it happens, you know, Valve will reverse the transaction, or you can call your credit card company or your bank and they'll reverse the transaction. But the fact that like personal information, like people's full billing addresses were leaked is pretty unacceptable. But at the same time, and this is not excusing them, only 34,000 people's information was affected, supposedly. And it's kind of a good wake-up call to be like, okay, so this is yet another platform where I will keep no personal information at all stored. So as soon as Steam was back up, I was like, okay, don't save payment information, don't save credit card or like banking details, and I'll just enter my own payment information every single time. And it's just another day on the internet, basically.
I hate hearing that argument, though. I hate, if you don't want your information stolen, you shouldn't put anything online because nothing's safe anywhere. Go hide in a hole.
But it's not like, I mean, companies ideally would have perfect security, but there's always going to be like freak accidents like this that happen. Like, you know, Patreon got hacked like 6 months ago or something like that. Like,
I don't think it was even that long ago. That might have been like October.
Yeah, I mean, like even with like not best practices, but like pretty good practices, information's gonna leak out. So I think it's just another reminder to be like very careful with the information that you have online.
I would mind less if not for the fact that so many companies set up their entire structure around you either agree to this and put in what we ask you, or you may not use our services. Which
That's true,
leaves you completely
but
out of the loop then.
You can use Steam without putting your payment information in to be saved, at least.
Some of it. I mean, you still have your email address, which had been leaked in that, and you have to have that, obviously, or you have nothing to connect to. I imagine there's a lot of other alternatives that happen in other platforms similar to that. So I don't feel safe with so much of this stuff, and you're forced to give it out, and you don't get anything in return other than risk.
It wasn't as bad as it could be. We got to say that, right? It looked a lot worse when we first saw it, I think. When I remember pulling up Twitter on that day and everyone was having a massive panic attack because they thought it was the end of times. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, I think the worst case scenario coming out of this is that somebody could social engineer their way to getting access to your bank account via your credit card number or something.
Exactly. I mean, like, we always talk about it as if it's a joke, but, like, when you call the bank, they're like, okay, what's your birthday? And you're like, we need to verify your identity. What's your birthday? There's only like two kinds of security questions: the ones that are like easy to know, and then the ones that you don't even remember because they're like, well, what was the name of your third grade teacher?
Third grade teacher. Who remembers that? Who's got a scrapbook? That's that was Mrs. Buttersworth, and then a fourth grade teacher.
Mrs. Buttersworth, I have her in my fridge right now.
The thing that bothered me even more so than the leak, which the reason that they gave for it makes sense. They were under denial of service attack, and then they changed their caching protocol, and it basically just.
But did they? I mean, I know they were threat under DDoS, but I don't think they actually got DDoS.
No, they had 20 times more traffic during that day than they had on the average day of the Steam sale, which is probably like already several fold over what they get on a normal day, I'm assuming. So apparently it's like a standard DDoS like mitigation technique to do that. I don't know enough about that to say whether or not it's true.
You're pretending not to know enough about that.
Well,
you
yeah,
fucking
exactly.
DDoSer.
But joke about that on Twitch and see how they feel about that. Well, now I've just completely forgotten what I was going to say. But I was more pissed off like to see people on Twitter just like refreshing account details and then being like, check out how much money this shithead's got in his account, and like posting screenshots of it. And I'm like,
They're
man,
kids.
you're
You gotta
like,
know they're children.
no, dude, some of them were like openly 28.
I've been hearing a lot about Ryan's Twitter timeline lately, man.
And they're like, man, like definitely do not do that.
Yeah.
I mean, get that it's kind of funny, but also I was kind of like a little vindicated when Valve seemed to imply that if you actually tried to go to your account details, there was a risk that your account details would end up in the caching.
I can explain in better detail what the problem was.
Would you please?
Please, yeah.
So every time you look at a website of any kind, it essentially drops into this little pool. And that pool is normally just a little closed-off area that only you can see your own stuff in, and then eventually gets deleted. This is a super simplistic version of this, obviously. But in this case, the caching protocol that got broken basically put everybody's pool into one pool. So you were accidentally seeing other people's rendered pages. So by seeing something, that meant that page is now up for being seen. So if you look at your own credit card information, now that page could be seen by someone else. That's why the recommendation was don't look at anything and nothing of yours will be seen. It's a very obtuse thing to explain to people that aren't really paying much attention, which is also why I was a little pissed about all the disinformation and confusion on Twitter, which is, again, why it was so important that they make some sort of statement about what's actually happening right now. Because this is not a thing that most people would guess at why this is a problem. And then they're just having fun with it.
That's Valve's biggest issue as a fucking company, is they're just not communicative at all. They don't talk. They don't say anything.
They don't have to be.
Yeah, but even they're like just... Their Steam support is trash.
Yeah.
Like, getting anything out of them, even their customer support, which exists to speak with customers who are having problems, are terrible. And if something that big happens, you should say something.
Wasn't it like 2 weeks ago on a podcast we were joking like their support is so bad that they're giving people coupons to turn on two-factor authentication because they'd rather like pay people directly. They'd basically rather pay a person like $15 to turn on two-factor authentication than invest in more support staff. Which is probably financially sound for them, but kind of hilarious for a company
makes
of this
sense
size.
for them fiscally, right? Which is the worst part of it. Like, yeah, we'd rather not help you more. Because it's financially sound.
I'm sure they use a ton of resources, the limited like customer service resources, getting people's hacked accounts back to them, but based on the fact that when you see people tweet about their accounts getting stolen, they're like, well, my ticket's been open for like 3 weeks and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
So
I had my account stolen once. It took them about a week to deal with it, but they did sort it out at the end. And
that was back in like 2013 too, right?
Yeah.
2012. So now I'm not sure it's worse, but I've heard it's worse.
Man, you've kind of had to go through a lot of the worst customer service feedback loops, haven't you, Nick? Like, I remember back when you had to deal with the AdSense nonsense, too, a while ago.
Oh,
yeah. It's just shitty luck. It's not anybody's fault, but, it could happen to anybody, I guess.
You trying to talk to someone at YouTube about your AdSense woes, I can imagine. That was a lot of fun.
I basically initially just gave up.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, so there's a wall in front of me that I cannot overcome, and then I just got extremely lucky that they freaking Kotaku wrote an article about my channel and saved the day. How many thousands of people would never have had that happen by random chance? So
YouTube
that
is
is
worse.
a problem.
Google is worse to get a hold of than Steam is. They're terrible.
Yeah.
I actually had to drop my entire first channel because of something similar with Nick, where like either an overzealous fan or whatever got super clicky, and I had to drop my whole first channel and move to a new one to even get partnered.
But
Don't
now
give
if you
anybody
have
ideas, though. Don't do that. Don't do that.
If you have like over a certain amount of subscribers now, I think they'll talk to you.
They might like.
Which is hilarious, isn't
Put
it?
enough money.
Like, all right, you're worth talking to. You give us a little bit of money.
I read a postmortem on Gama Sutra about a game, and it was ad supported back in the day where like free web games could be ad supported and still survive, basically. And they got banned from AdSense, and nobody talked to them. They didn't know why until like 3 months later when they managed to get in contact with somebody, and it turns out their banner ad was like 10 pixels too close to the game window, and it broke terms of service. But rather than like talk to them, they just banned them and then like didn't get in touch with them.
Well, in my doing rounds of discussing this issue with the many people that also found they had this issue, I found out that a common trend was that people got very near to the first Google AdSense payout, and then all of a sudden found a problem where they didn't get their money, which I don't know if there's anything to that, but it's pretty shitty, you know, to get to $95 out of the 100, and then all of a sudden you don't get anything.
It's sort of a little too convenient, right?
Yeah.
I remember, speaking of Kotaku, I remember them running an article maybe a year or two ago about how Steam is not happy with their customer service rating because they got an F from the, what was that?
They want at least a D.
Yeah, you got to give them at least a D.
Everybody just wants a little D.
But I don't know if it's getting any better. I think it's still just got to be at the bottom of the priority list. And looking at them as a business, I can't really fault them too much for that. But as a person with morality and, you know, hopes for good human interaction, I sort of can.
I think it's a problem, or not necessarily fair to say that a Steam account is an investment. Like, it's not like even people these days have Steam accounts. I mean, we probably all have Steam accounts that are worth in the thousands, if not maybe even the tens of thousands of dollars, just based on like promo copies that we've gotten and the stuff that we purchased over like 5 or 6 years on the platform.
And that's you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather not point that out, but okay.
Right. I mean, I thought it was obvious, but
no, I know.
No, on my account, I only have Portal 2, and The Binding of Isaac Gap.
And Rocket
Exactly. But you know, it's the kind of thing that warrants good customer service. Like if you're locked out of something that you've put like 15 grand in or something like that, like you need to be able to get back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like thinking.
Our job hinges on Steam.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
To a
really
large
does.
extent,
Like we could still do it. But if Steam just disappeared. This is a fun hypothetical. What would happen? If Steam just disappeared tomorrow, what would happen?
I'd
cry first.
I don't want to be that guy, but like it can't.
Come on, man. Just play
Like
a game with me.
In what world does that happen?
In a
I'll play
world
the
where Valve implodes.
Right, with their like $3.5 billion in revenue.
No, I'm literally
this
talking
year.
about like a fucking black hole shows up in Bellevue, Washington, and just sucks
Sucks the
all
building
in.
up into the sky. And Gabe Newell is just like, bye!
Half-Life 3 comes with me.
Dude, can you imagine if, like, let's say you made Rocket League, for example, and then Steam got sucked into a sinkhole or something like that, and then you're like, shit, that's like where the game was. Like, we figured you had it, so we deleted it already.
That's sort of like that episode of South Park where the Kickstarter building burns to the ground. See, that's the scenario we're presenting to ourselves. What if?
So the hypothetical that I would go with then is that in a few weeks or months, someone would figure out a way to emulate the Steam servers and then be able to authenticate your offline games and let you still play what you have downloaded.
Shit,
I don't know if you'd be able to get access back from the server, but at least the ones you have should hopefully stay.
That sounds like it exists already.
It seems like the obvious thing that would happen, and it seems like what Valve has made the statement that they would make happen in the event that they weren't able to keep providing the service.
Yeah.
Steam goes down. It's the rise of UPlay, everybody.
There we go. That's what we
The
need.
Terminator.
How about Rise of GOG Galaxy?
It definitely would be a huge benefit for GOG. And as a distribution platform, Green Man Gaming for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Green Man Gaming could finally be like, we don't have to offer like 30% off of every brand new game to get customers.
We can actually turn a profit on game sales. All right. Well, talking about more sales, this is going to be fun. We're going to play a little game here. It's called Guess the Game. See?
I'm going to get some coffee. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Sounds
Ryan
good.
don't
Right.
want to play no game.
I've already seen the results.
Yeah, he knows what we're talking about here. Here in front of me, I've got a list of the best-selling games on Steam in 2015. There's a list of 25 of these. And chat, I want to play along, but I don't want them to help you guys out. So it's going to be Nick and Mathis playing this game with me here. They're going to try in as little time as they can to guess the top 10 selling games on Steam in 2015. Ryan, they're guessing the top 10 selling games on Steam in 2015 right now.
The one thing I want to say is that this is the Steam Spy data is only from April onwards.
Okay.
So it's not technically the full year.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad. All right.
Ready?
We are gonna hold on. I'm gonna get you like a proper timer set up here.
I think I can do 3.
3 is
Maybe
good.
4.
All right. Stopwatch is going. As soon as I say start, I want you to begin guessing the top 10 selling Steam games of 2015. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Guys, you ready? Okay, go.
Bring it.
H1Z1, DayZ, Rocket League, Ark. 1, 2?
You got 2.
2.
CS:GO. Okay. I want to say Witcher 3, but it's probably not. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm proud of that. I'm so happy for them.
I'm just gonna say Duck Aim and hope it's on there, but it's probably not.
No.
Fallout 4's got to be up there.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
What was big? Yep, GTA. Yep, GTA 5. Blah, 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 blah. What else? What did I play this year and thought was shit? But
I actually
people bought
don't
it?
remember anymore. But I'm
Okay,
gonna
here we
assume,
go.
like,
Yeah, this is fun now.
Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's not
Think
up
of
there.
sandbox games.
Yeah.
There's got to be hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
They're all on there.
Did Rebirth come out in 2015?
Afterbirth did. Rebirth was 2014.
Afterbirth.
2014. Surprisingly, well, no, I guess it wouldn't have made the top 25.
Terraria?
It is up there.
Yes!
Nice.
Victory
Makes
for
sense.
me.
Oh.
Personal victory for Nick
Yeah.
for that being.
It is top 10?
This is top 10.
All right, so I'm gonna go with 2. Well, I doubt it, but Just Cause 3 on there.
It's not.
Thank
Left
God.
4
Wait.
Dead 2?
Left 4 Dead 2 is on there. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Metal Gear Solid 5 on there.
No, it's not. Number 18.
Gmod.
Gmod's up there.
Yeah.
You got one more.
Oh, really? Just one?
Just one.
Civ
We did pretty
5?
good.
Not Civ 5.
City
Here, I'm gonna
Skylines?
stop holding up my fingers.
Oh.
It's not City Skylines.
Give us a
Honey
give us a
Pop. I
clue.
want it to be Honey Pop.
All
I know
right, here's your clue. This list is for the best-selling games on Steam in 2015. It is not necessarily the games that came out in 2015.
Oh, it's okay. So the clue is that it's not from 2015.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it Rust?
It's not Rust.
Thank God. DayZ.
It's not DayZ.
Thank God.
Rust is
Skyrim?
number 24. It's Skyrim.
Yeah.
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah.
Well done.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Woohoo! All right, stopwatch stops. It only took you 2 minutes.
It's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
We have looked at the page probably hundreds of times.
All right, so yeah, we'll give you guys the actual
Top
Steam.
sellers.
data.
Yeah, I actually did. I don't know if you consider it cheating, but I went to Steam's like top sellers for right now, and then just kept hitting next until I was like, oh, that's. Well, I was like, that's always in the top 10.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, it's got to be like Payday 2 or Don't Starve or Skyrim. It's got to be one of those games.
So to preface, this is the Steam Spy list, which is just based off of data that this one person collects. So this may not be correct, but what's crazy here? Counter-Strike Global Offensive 2015 sales 5.6 million.
Yeah.
Next highest up is GTA 5 with 3.6 million. So what we were talking about with Counter-Strike, we're proving that point right here.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike may have had
CS:GO is
its biggest year ever this year.
well
crazy.
deserved. It's a great game.
I tweeted about this when the news came out. It was like a week and a half ago or something like that. And I was like, man, it's amazing that CSGO, 3 years after its release, sold almost 6 million units. And people, like, I don't think enough people appreciate how ridiculous that is. That the best-selling game of 2015 on Steam which is where most PC games are purchased worldwide, I imagine,
Yeah.
is a 3-year-old game. Like, people were like, well, how much is CSGO relative to how much, GTA 5 is? Sure, yeah, it's 1/4 the cost. People buy new accounts for Smurfs. People buy new accounts because they get banned. It goes on sale for 50% off all the time. It's still 3 years old, and 6 million people bought it.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like
Same
that's
with Gmod. Gmod's on there too, and that was huge.
Exactly. I mean, like, there's obvious reasons for it because it's it's a lot easier to get than something like GTA 5 or The Witcher 3. But still, like, those numbers are crazy. There's, like I said, there's still so many games that are $15, 3 years old, and go on sale for 50% off all the time that haven't even sniffed at like the top 100 on Steam.
Right.
Where on the list was Gmod?
Gmod was number 6. They sold 1.7 million copies this
And it's
year.
just from YouTubers and Twitch streamers, right? Like, nobody's doing that of their own volition these days, right?
Yeah, I imagine a lot of that.
What, just buying Gary's mod?
Yeah, just for no reason, be like, oh, that looks cool. They always just see people
I don't
freaking
know. I
out,
think they
shooting each
still-
other in Terrorist Town or whatever.
That's definitely a big part of it. I
man,
still think
TTT
Gary's
is
mod, like, it still gets a bunch of front page promotion on Steam. They still obviously see it as a big cash grab that will continue to exist for the end of time.
I mean, and Nick's right. I mean, it's still a huge YouTuber
Yeah.
series producer. And there's a new mode that came out that is like storming that side of like Let's Plays, which is, I'm sure, hugely
It
inflating
detects how
numbers.
loud you scream, right? And it gives you points. Sorry.
Cynical Nick. Cynical Nick. No, they just came out with a mode that's like think like Assassin's Creed multiplayer where a couple people are hunting people and everybody else is trying to pretend to be NPCs that are walking
Oh,
around
okay,
and
yeah.
shit.
I only recognize the name of the game mode if it's in all caps and preceded by
Play button.
the punchline that the person says in the video.
Weirdly, in Poland, Counter-Strike is very popular. Counter-Strike sold 323,000 copies in Poland in 2015. Next highest game on the list was The Elder Scrolls Skyrim with 45,000.
They did say that, Sergey, the guy who runs Steam Spy, said that the Poland data is unusual because GOG is actually an actual competitive platform there. Like, it's something that has a lot of market share for itself. So stuff like The Witcher 3, the majority of people would buy it on GOG compared to Steam. So
Okay.
that might have skewed sales a little bit for Poland specifically.
Sure. That is still strange, though, that Counter-Strike was like the only game that they went through Steam to get, which I guess makes sense now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, interesting. Trying to look for the other anomaly countries here. Maybe there's fun to be had there. The U.S., number one selling game in the United States. Let you guys
GTA 5?
take a guess at that. Not GTA 5
Really?
for 2015.
Number one selling game. Fallout?
It is Fallout.
Okay.
Just under 1 million copies.
We love the apocalypse here.
We do, yeah. It's a fun topic to explore, isn't
Really
it?
into it.
We sort of have a self-defeating prophecy in a lot of our games, don't we? Oh, man. There's the fun we've got in store today.
Woo!
I think it's Nick's Weird Games time.
What the heck? We've only been talking for like
What?
40 minutes.
I know. It's crazy.
Ask Roundtable, man.
Ask Roundtable. We're doing that after Nick's Weird Games, right? No, that's okay. I remember now. I remember the order of things we do on this podcast. It's time for Ask Roundtable, everybody.
Yeah.
This is everybody's favorite
Sure,
segment is
sure.
Ask Roundtable.
Surely there has to be more to talk about. There was news about the new Assassin's Creed.
That's
Yeah, they're
right,
taking a year
yeah.
off.
Egypt?
They're doing it in Egypt, and it may not come out this year as they're trying to.
I hope they don't come out this year.
Rise of the Tomb Raider is
All right,
coming
hold
to
on now, hold
Steam
on
in
now.
the last week of January.
You're telling me these
Badass,
stories I've
no
seen,
thing
but
to
this
say.
is about the extent that they get.
I mean, the Assassin's
could
Creed
jump
stuff.
in.
That is fun. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that.
We can
Settle
rip
Egypt.
that. I will gladly rip
Please
apart
do.
Assassin's
Yeah, I want to
Creed
hear you
for,
talk
like-
about that.
Well, I'm ready. It's gonna be the most generic complaint everybody's ever heard about this game.
I'm ready.
fucking sick of playing the same game every goddamn year with a new fucking skin and a new
But
timeline.
Egypt, though. Egypt could be different.
I'm totally okay with them taking
I'm
that
the
year
audience right now.
It's different. Yeah, so could England. England's gonna be great. It's gonna be like the steampunk era, or whatever the fuck it's called.
The
industrial
steampunk era.
Look, I just remember the gears in the logo, and I was like, oh, that's steampunk like. But it's
You
not the
remember
same
back when the
fucking
world
thing.
was steampunk.
The free running system is still janky-ish. The combat is still easy as hell. There's no reason to stealth because you can just kill everything quickly. And the story is gone. The overarching like sci-fi story of Assassin's Creed is so fucking borked. It's up there with Metal Gear Solid and fucking Kingdom Hearts level of obscurity. There's just no story there. I would love them to take a year off and just get their fucking. I'll get all their.
They are.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what
Yeah, they are.
The audience is gonna be insane. They're gonna go nuts. But like, I would love they take a year off, like they hopefully are. Get like everything sorted. Introduce new gameplay concepts. Maybe some new, I guess, yeah, Ancient Egypt's a new enough timeline, but get rid of the fucking story and start over, or, like, end the fucking story they've been telling since the first one and start something new in the same universe, if that's fine with them, but it's just nonsense. Like, the story is stupid, and the gameplay is the same, and that just needs to change. And Unity was so fucking broken, like, it destroyed the sales of Syndicate. Like, Unity was so bad, it destroyed Syndicate a year later.
Was kind of okay.
Yeah, it was definitely the same game we got 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people are super justified for not giving a shit about Syndicate, though. It's like when you're taking a class and you, like, don't work at all and you fuck up all your, like, midterms and assignments, and then on the final you get, like, an A. And your teacher's supposed to be like, well, good job. Like, you put in the bare minimum amount of effort required to pass. Like, literally, you're not going to get valedictorian.
I feel like the story of Assassin's Creed these days feels like some sort of self-aware parody of itself going, congratulations, you bought a new Assassin's Creed game. Like,
And
that's
the
it. And
thing
now
is
we're
that
just
people
gonna
buy them and like, this one's going to be different. But I think a lot of that was fueled, though, because Black Flag was different enough to keep people being like, well, maybe it'll be, different next time. And then Unity came out. I was like, fuck you, Ubisoft.
All right, jump on board with me here in the Dream Train. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to set a new Assassin's Creed game in Egypt in 2017.
Okay.
That's not the setting, mind you. That's the release date for the game. The setting is ancient.
Ancient.
Camera zooms in on a lone wanderer marching through Giza.
Oh.
The pyramids in the distance, and we see him slowly lift his hood.
So epic.
And it's Mickey Mouse.
Oh.
The Assassin's
we're in
Creed Kingdom Hearts crossover we've all been waiting for is finally here in Assassin's Creed Egypt.
That happened in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Some fucking ninja with a hood came in with a keyblade.
I remember
wrecked
that.
everything, and it was like, boom, and it was Mickey. You're like, what?
I didn't buy this
happened.
Disney game to see Mickey Mouse.
They actually, funnily enough, they used the exact same lightsaber dancing moves they had for Yoda for Mickey. They just transferred those. CGI, it just works that way. You can move them from movies to games. It's easy.
So in this news from Kotaku, there's kind of like I wouldn't say a bombshell, that kind of overstates it, but there's a line here at the bottom that says, a possible Ubisoft substitution for this fall's big Assassin's Creed could be Watch Dogs 2, which we hear will be out later this year and set in San Francisco. Just apropos of nothing else in the article, they're like, by the way, we've heard that Watch Dogs 2 is going to be out, which if true is actually like a really kind of hilarious way for that news to be released to the public.
If that's the first instance of it to ever show up.
I get the sense that Kotaku is not. They don't have a great relationship with Ubisoft because of the embargo stuff last year.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just like, hey, we can kind of like gum up your wheels a little bit by announcing your game for you in the worst way possible.
As an anecdote, part of another story. That's so silly.
Another story where they're kind of like throwing shade on them a little bit too, to be like,
no more
well, finally,
tower climbing.
I thought that the way Assassin's Creed was going to go trajectory-wise was we get the first one, everybody's really enthused by it. Maybe 4 or 5 years go by, we get a really good sequel. Then another 4 or 5 years go by, and we get the final conclusion, which is like Desmond in the future.
Yes, I wanted that so bad.
And it's the actual story, and it wraps up, and then we call this the end of the story, and we move on to something new.
Didn't it wrap up, though? Kind of?
I don't know.
You can't wrap up a story and then come out with a new one every year.
What they did was like, we're going to kill Desmond, and then we'll just... You're an employee at this company, and you're just going to play through, like, whatever simulation we put you through.
I thought we were going to end up in some kind of, like, Cthulhu, like, hell world by the end. Because remember the weird ending of the very first one?
Yeah.
There was, like, weird sigils and glyphs all over everything, and you could, like, see demon vision.
Oh, yeah. And
Where
then
the hell did all that go?
And then at the end of the second one, Ezio's like talking to one of the precursors or the aliens who knows about Desmond, and like it's really fucking weird because she was talking to Desmond through Ezio. That's what it was. It was weird.
I was interested in that story.
And then they were like, "Oh, you guys like it? Here's Brotherhood and Revelations," and I'm like, "Oh, it's gone."
Well,
Yeah,
it would
I
have
don't
been
know.
a nice
It's like
trajectory
homeopathy.
for the series.
If you guys are mad that I spoiled Desmond's ending, you don't play
I
Assassin's Creed.
spoiled it.
Desmond dies.
A nice trajectory for the series if we can get away from the circle jerking that's existed for like 8 years about Assassin's Creed now. Would have been like Naughty Dog style. Like, you know, the first one comes out in like 2007, the second one's like 2011, third one's like this year.
Yeah.
Then people like, I feel like they would still care and there'd be enough time between them that you're like, you know, there's some samey kind of stuff going on in there, but like, I want to see how the story ends. But I do agree that they've just blown it out so hard that it's like impossible to give a shit. It's like, you know, Peter Jackson breaking the Hobbit stuff into 2 for the final movie, but instead he broke it into like however long they keep selling. And then after a while, he's just like, well, the last one didn't do so well, so the next Assassin's Creed is going to be the last one. There's also the Assassin's Creed movie comes out in December of this
Saw
year.
the picture.
The way that the
Which-
sales go, it feels like they're still just reaching fever pitch for like saturation now. Like they haven't realized the tone of this world yet.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Syndicate hammered home that they need to take a fucking break because nobody bought Syndicate.
Did nobody
Yeah.
buy Syndicate?
I'm sure people bought it, but like I think it was one of their lowest selling.
If I bought it, I would buy it for the memes,
Yeah.
mostly.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like Syndicate was one of those games where like I didn't judge people for playing it, but when I saw people tweeting about it, I was kind of like, "You're better than that, man." Not because it's a bad game, but because I never take this stance, but I kind of feel like its existence is bad for the industry, in the sense that it keeps encouraging Ubisoft to just iterate the same game every single year.
Sometimes
I don't-
twice.
I don't hate anybody for buying it, and like if you enjoy it, that's fine. But when people are like, "Wow, the new Assassin's Creed is a return to form," I'm like, "That's literally the best case scenario." Like that's
That's
They
not
should
even
be
an
better.
observation. That's just standard fare now.
they have like some of the most talented people in the industry and some of the most resources in the industry, and we're like just happy that the second one or the next one is like slightly better or at least as good as the one before it. Or for Syndicate, it's not as bad as Unity.
People fucking jizzed all over Fallout 4, and it was barely better than Fallout 3.
We kind of jizzed all over Fallout 4.
Fallout 4
I complained
it's
about
at
it.
least ambitious.
I still think it's okay.
I regret saying that
it's
instantly.
okay. It's not. I'll go down that Fallout 4 train, but I think Fallout 4 is inferior to 3.
It wasn't like they came out with Fallout 4 the year after Fallout 3. And we're
No,
like,
they took
it's the
5
same
years
thing.
to create a game that is arguably worse than the prequel.
But it's not the same game with shit removed or just like non-functional. Like it's a new game.
no, they just took out things instead.
I don't
They
know.
just removed
No,
the
I-
RP.
I think Fallout 4 is significantly different from 3 in New Vegas.
Yeah, it's a shooter.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead 2 years and say that we all can agree that it's probably average at best.
I'm with
Fallout
you.
4 is so far above average. Whether or not it's a disappointment is something that people can debate based on how they feel about earlier Fallout games, but is
I'm
way
diffusing the
above
outliers,
average.
though, that are saying this is the best game that's ever existed and this is a worse piece of trash that's ever existed. If we could remove those, we're going to come out somewhere in the middle.
I think our perspective has changed a lot in the last year or so. I think I don't want to just be all pessimistic about it and say we become jaded and cynical about everything, but I think our standard has changed just because we've been exposed to an extreme saturation in 2 fields, in 2 genres. We've got the early access survival stuff, and then we've got the big open world, you'll never run out of shit to do because we just keep piling it on games. And we got a lot of those this year. We got Metal Gear Solid 5, we got Fallout 4, we got Just Cause 3, we got games. So it's weird to think about the perspective we have as far as what's good in those 2 genres anymore, right? Because we don't really have many differences to compare. We don't have a lot of things to discern one game from the other. They all kind of need to fit under a formula right now in order to be successful. And we can look at Steam charts and see that that is clearly working, even though there's issues with it that we have that are very valid issues. It's interesting.
I'm not sure where to take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Fallout 4 is. See, I approach Fallout like a Fallout game. So, like, when I play Fallout 4, it's very clearly not a Fallout game. It's an open world shooter. And what I think of Fallout, what Fallout has always been, was an RPG with shooting aspects or mechanics that really heavily rely on like the VAT system and stats and all that stuff. When you rip that out, almost all of it, and the RPG isn't there, the story is mediocre, the side missions are pretty boring, and instead you have like a really good Doom-esque shooter. It's not Fallout anymore. It's just
Doom-esque.
It is
going too
Doom-esque.
far.
The people who are making the new Doom.
Oh, dude,
worked
Doom
with them.
2016.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the newer Dooms, Wolfenstein-esque, like, you know,
You're
heavy,
calling it a
big guns.
hyper-frenetic, fast-paced shooter where you jump from kill to kill and rip their faces off. It's not that.
No, the way the guns feel, the way the guns fire, I would say is very Doom-esque.
Fallout 4 may be disappointing as a Fallout game. To call it average is to skew the scale like way too far to stuff like The Witcher 3 and Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, maybe it's average relative to those games, to like the literal agreed upon consensus game of the year contenders, but it's definitely not average relative to the average AAA game. I think maybe we're a little guilty of playing pretty much just the cream of the crop.
What is an average AAA game right now? What would you look at as this is an average AAA game? Something like
Just Cause.
Just Cause 3?
I was thinking Just Cause as well. Having not
Just
played
Cause,
it,
yeah, I'd agree.
but it's a new Assassin's Creed I would consider probably up there. I mean, think about the stuff that came out last year that people just completely forgot. You know, like
Tomb
the Order
Raider.
1886. People didn't forget Tomb Raider.
Just had a
It's
bad
weird for me
release
because
window,
I
but-
really liked both Fallout and Just Cause, and I'm calling both of them average, so I don't know what I think.
Just Cause 3 is a very good wingsuit simulator.
Yeah.
Mad
about
Max
it.
is another one.
Mad Max was
seemed pretty
it's
average.
pretty average. It was a beautiful game. I'll give it that.
Black Ops 3, do we
I
Do we talk about that
anymore?
anymore?
I can't even.
played it.
I can't comment on it because I've never played it. I've
I
heard
played
it was
about
good.
4 or 5 hours of it. I thought it was really bad.
All right, there we go. Yeah, that works.
But
Like,
I mean,
silly, laughably
this is
bad.
not like it's not even the point at hand, but it's just like yet another like old grizzled games industry veteran here. Like, watch the hype cycle start for Fallout 4. Hey, everybody, be cautious. You know, don't build it up to the point where you get disappointed. It comes out in the first week. Everyone's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this my whole life."
Maybe
I've
we
got
just
100
shouldn't
hours
do
in
that
the first
anymore.
I
you
have been
know?
saying that for years.
It's not the industry. Sorry, it's the consumers' responsibility, in my opinion, to not be like, you know, oh, press release, you know, like jerking off over it. Just
Up on the
have
chest, you know, that's how I do
reasonable. Well, I can't. I gotta tilt down here.
it. You really
Plus,
wanna
I only
do
have
it.
2 hands. But like, it's just be more rational. Like, it's not, and no game that comes out is gonna be like, oh, this has changed my life. Maybe Undertale for some people. Wink, wink.
I love
but
Undertale. I finally
I'm
beat
just
it.
Nice.
What are you
it's
winking
so
at?
it's so frustrating to just be like, here it goes again, you know. I don't know what it's going to be this year, but I mean, eventually, if Half-Life 3 ever comes out,
Yeah,
it'll
we
be
got that
the same.
pixelated Lambda. You see
I will
that?
say, like, it's been a long time since a game has come out that has like absolutely knocked my socks off, blown me away. But Undertale did it because I didn't expect it, and it was just one of those things. And Witcher 3 did it for me, which, I mean, again, subjective. I know, obviously, but I think Witcher 3, for me, and what my personal tastes are, blew me away. I adore that game. I'm still playing it.
Remind me here, Witcher 3 didn't really have like a huge media hype train.
I disagree.
No?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I think it was subtle but effective.
I remember coming back from PDXCon, and there was a PR rep there from Evolve PR who handles CD Projekt Red stuff in North America, and they announced The Witcher 3 while PDXCon was going on, and we were flying back together, and I was like, "So you guys are going to make like $1 trillion, right?" It's like, "Yeah, this is going to be like easily the biggest game we've ever come out with." Like The Witcher 3 was huge in terms of its pre-release stuff. Maybe got dwarfed a little bit this year by Fallout 4. But I think it was probably as anticipated as like Metal Gear Solid 5.
I'd say as anticipated. I'm wondering about like the actual marketing budget. You know what I mean? Because we know Fallout 4 obviously had just a ridiculous one, and then there was a good amount of press and media for like Call of Duty had it, and then Halo even had a good amount of marketing buzz. But I don't remember a ton of Witcher 3 ads.
Well, I'm thinking of like Destiny stuff, and I felt like Witcher was kind of like an underdog in the same world that kind of marketing level goes on. And
Destiny is literally the most expensive game ever made.
Sure.
We can't hold everything to that standard.
Yeah. A lot of that probably went to marketing. Destiny's budget.
Well, all the same, Assassin's Creed is going to get a new game in 2017.
How do you feel about the idea of just like a Watch Dogs 2 kind of like plopping out?
I want that to show up, actually. You know what? Watch Dogs has mixed reviews on Steam, and I think that's bullshit. I'm gonna take the fucking soapbox for Watch Dogs right now. Watch Dogs was really good.
Whoa, okay.
See, I'd call it mediocre.
Watch Dogs was a fun-ass game, man.
I would call it average.
Yeah, I would call it average.
I'm angry and I demand answers.
I played Watch Dogs, and I kept playing it, and I finished it. And that is like the biggest fucking mountain of praise I can give to any game ever these days.
Any sandbox game, especially.
Especially, yeah, because that might be the only sandbox game I've completed in like the last 2 years, besides maybe Far Cry 4.
Why?
We're in like
curiosity.
I don't know. I have no idea. That's what's weird.
What it is that
I think that's that's like maybe even the idea that I was trying to get to when I was talking about how we have a different standard for these open world games where you have a bunch of shit to do all the time. But Watch Dogs, well, okay, let me think back to when they were initially making promises, right? So this was probably E3 2012 or 2013.
I think it was 2012.
When they were starting to show us, like, look at all this awesome shit that Watch Dogs is going to bring to the table. And obviously, that was blown out of proportion. But a lot of what they said, I still got out of Watch Dogs. I got, like, that sense of cool control over my environment. It wasn't this mind-blowing fucking dystopian 1984 control shit that we all thought we were going to have. But it was still pretty cool. And then they've got a decent story, kind of cool characters, you know? Like, it's nothing...
Hold on, let me stop you right there.
Okay.
The main character was dumb.
No, I don't want to go too far over the top, but the main issue I have with the game, beyond the marketing promises that didn't come true, is that like I don't care about any of the characters in the game, and at worst, I'm like, these characters are like just caricatures of, they're assholes. Like Aiden Pierce is a dick. And then
wasn't Aiden Pierce kind of like a walking hypocrite? Like he was just like a dick, but
he was
during
like
the
very
cutscenes, he was
unstable and power hungry in a weird way.
Murders like dozens of people because someone that he loved got murdered, but somehow they don't paint that as like a Mad Max like corruption thing. It's just like, you gotta do what you gotta do. When someone kills your family, you gotta kill other people's families.
I don't want to be the guy who says, look at every plot ever and see the amount of gratuitous murder that the protagonist gets away with, but
it's only because they took it so seriously, and it was played like without a single like bend of self-awareness. Like, Aiden Pierce is gonna hack the planet because he's like a vigilante, but like
also they set the bar too damn high. The first mission, you take out the power of that entire stadium. Like, you can't start there and work your way up, because there is nothing bigger than that.
Well, because after that, you break into some guy's apartment and steal a motherboard, you know?
Right.
Like, that's pretty big.
I remember, like, the E3 stuff, the stuff that got me wasn't, like, the over-the-top, like, graphic problem. I remember, like, them showing at E3, him going into the bar, and him being on TV, and the person, like, recognizing him and recognizing TV, and all this, like, kind of branching story stuff happened. I'm like, That's not how the game plays,
Yeah.
like at all.
Yeah.
They set up
many
that it was like a
people,
new
like-
paradigm for interactivity, but in the end, it ended up sort of like about as interactive as GTA 3. Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe a little more, but not like GTA 5 by any stretch.
It's just like, it's so frustrating to see it happen over and over again. I don't know what it's going to be this year, but there'll be something this year. People will overhype a game, and then for a week, it'll be the best thing ever, and then after that, it'll be an insult to have even existed. And, like,
That's
is my...
not the bar I have for Watch Dogs, man. That's not where it is. It's not
No, I
offensive
know.
that Watch Dogs is in existence.
Here's why I like Watch Dogs. It was pretty okay, and it came out in March. And that's like, there's nothing else to play right now. It's either that or MLB The Show. Also, my PS4 was only like 5 months old, and I was like, I can play this on the PS4.
Oh man, don't you hate having that feeling though? Don't you hate feeling like you have to buy something so you can justify the purchase of the console, right?
That's pretty much where I'm at with the Xbox One. Mm-hmm. Is why I got The Witcher 3 for it.
I got
don't-
Fallout 4 on my Xbox One only to be plagued by all kinds of awful
That's
glitches
right.
and issues.
That sucks.
I feel the same way about my PS4. It kind of just sits there and collects dust, but I use my Wii U all the time still.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's good.
I have a huge collection for the Wii U, which is, I mean, I just think it's part of just being a PC gamer, because if we can play it on the PC, we'll play it on the PS3, and the Wii U has the most exclusives that I give a shit about. But we've talked about that before.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys think we would be better off as an industry to just kind of ditch some of the insane hyperbole about things being the greatest gift from God?
I
and
think that's the
worst shit
fucking
to
worst
ever-
idea I've ever heard in my life, Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you garbage man.
Like, if we could just somehow just take it back a few steps and just realize that nothing ever is as extreme as we think it is in first glance,
I
we
think
would all
it's
be
almost
If you
happier.
slap an X on it, it's extreme.
Yeah.
I feel like and this is not like meant to be anti-consumer, but I feel like as people who play games, that's like more of our identity than someone who's like, well, I really like movies or I really like books. Like, there are the occasional movies, Star Wars, where Prometheus or something like that, where people get like super hyped up for it and, you know, come up with like fan theories of what it's going to be and talk about it for months. But I feel like games are kind of a unique industry most of the time, in that a lot of games get that same kind of treatment. And what I think the error comes from is the idea that like something is going to come out and actually change your life. But when it comes out and people are like, this is just a piece of media. I've been lied to.
Yeah.
Like, it's always just a piece of media. Even the best games ever, like they can change your life in infinitesimal ways or major ways maybe. But most of the time it's just the disc. It's just
I think that the idea that buying into the belief that it will change your life in the way that some media corporation tells you it will change your life is the biggest fallacy right there. If it's going to change your life, it's going to do it in a subtle way that you're not going to realize until after you've consumed that media. That's my take on it.
I am surprised to see that Syndicate only has 100,000 owners on Steam.
the Syndicate,
The
shooter?
Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate,
Oh.
yeah. Only 100,000 owners on Steam.
I
got
got
mine
it for
with
free
my-
with my graphics card,
Yeah,
like
I
Math
got
is
mine.
about to say.
Oh boy,
My
okay, so
graphics
that those numbers might be even skewed further then. There might only be like half of those.
I think a lot of people
legitimate
bought
owners.
GTX 980 Ti's this year.
Yeah, it
Was
looks
it,
like.
was it a Uplay code or a Steam code?
Oh, that's
UPlay exclusive.
Okay.
I was
so
like,
it wouldn't go through
neither
there
of you
then, yeah.
fuckers redeemed it, did you?
I didn't
No,
redeem
I
mine.
redeemed it.
I knew it. How that says
I didn't
so
pick
much,
Rainbow Six Siege because I owned it already.
dude. That's the perfect like encapsulation of the fact that Ubisoft needs to take some time off. People got it for free, and we're like, it's more hassle to Control C, Control V than it's worth.
Well, I mean,
You have to go through an email thing too to get it.
Yeah, well, outside of that too, you have to deal with fucking UPlay.
Yeah.
And if I don't have to boot up UPlay, I won't. I only boot up UPlay when I hit Rainbow Six Siege on Steam.
Okay, I want to be fair about this because we do this a lot. What makes Uplay so bad for you guys?
Connection issues.
Yeah.
Mic problems. It fucks with mics all the time.
Remember when we tried to play Rainbow Six together and we couldn't get in teams, and then it randomly blocked me from Ryan for no reason, and he still can't find me anymore?
I'm on your team. I'm trying to voice our concerns with this.
Francis issues, dropping people. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Splinter Cell Blacklist and Assassin's Creed 4, Kate and I couldn't play together because our NAT settings were set to moderate, and I was like, we're on the PC, man. I haven't heard about NAT settings since like 2007.
With the
They've
people
got advertised to you every time you finish playing a game, and sometimes in the game.
Yep. The people I was playing with a few nights ago, it would randomly drop them when we'd queue up. Like 4 out of 5 of us would get into the game, the other person would just get kicked. You're like, all right, UPlay, thanks, appreciate it. Sometimes you can't even bring up the overlay. Sometimes you try to bring up the overlay, and the overlay just doesn't show up.
Doesn't want to work. Yep.
OBS seems to break it for me.
Shift
some
F2
things that are technically unfair to UPlay, but fair to the consumer. One would be that it wasn't the first one there, so you already have Steam open all the time, and then they want you to have UPlay open as well for reasons.
The UI is unintuitive and redundant, and there are instances where like they just want to show you a big panel with a UPlay logo for the download, but the download's like 5% of it at the bottom of this huge panel.
UPlay!
Why? Just make it more efficient.
God damn it.
We know you're proud of your freaking service. We don't need to be as proud as you are.
Yeah. I don't like Origins, but Origins is better than UPlay.
Origins?
Or is it not Origin? Is it Origin?
This guy.
Liam Neeson is my shit.
It's still better. It works
I actually
more
agree.
often. You get free games with it a lot, too. They get like 1 freebie a month.
And that's like, as long as you have 2-factor authentication on, every time that Origin has a security breach, they give you like a coupon for a free game. And I'm like, man, I'm rolling in the Sims 2 codes right now.
You'd have a big giveaway on Twitch, man.
Who wants to play the Sims
Nobody will
2?
take the codes.
It's a testament, too, like, with Siege, like, how I don't know if this still happens. I haven't played in a couple of days, but how bad the server errors are, but how good a game it still is.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those games that I want to be like, it is so good, it's so fun, pick it up, but I can't because the server problems are still awful. Or at least were, like 3 days ago or whatever.
Yeah. It's still bad. I've been talking about this a lot, but this is one of those games that, is a much better game than people who haven't played it realize, but it's going to kind of fall under its own weight pretty quickly. Like, I think the window is already closing for them, honestly. It's had great word of mouth for a while, but people are going to be like, they're going to buy it and then be like, or more likely they're going to watch a stream and someone will be like, haven't been able to get into a game for a half hour, and they're going to say, I don't want to pay $60 for that.
Yeah. Their word of mouth is certainly not helping them out. That's for sure. They don't have, well, I guess Steam doesn't really have this anymore either, but not that they really need it, but no one's really giving good word of mouth support to really any distribution platform at the moment. There's nobody that's winning over customers right now. They all just sort of suck, and we just have to deal with it.
Steam is the best sales, so people are on board for that.
Yeah. The least of the evils is Steam at the moment. And I mean, to their credit, a lot of things that we pointed out that are wrong with UPlay, which are preventing us from wanting to ever go to UPlay in place of it, are things that Steam is doing right. Steam has a good UI. Their interface works 99% of the time. They've obviously got the market locked down, so there's a big plus to them. I mean, they're overall, it's a pretty good distribution platform when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying GOG. GOG is a good secondary option.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't have to deal with support, Steam is okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't have a problem, you're good to go.
I appreciate that they took an effort to try and streamline the issues a little bit with where you have to open a game through UPlay in Steam. Whereas if you're using Steam Big Picture, that would have been a bigger problem, and now it sort of all happens behind the scenes. You don't have to log in, per se. It's linked to your account, so it actually happens directly. And I was thinking, why can't we just actually integrate UPlay and Origin and GOG into tabs in Steam? Yeah. Just have them as interchangeable sections within your Steam library. And maybe Origin and UPlay doesn't even have to know about it, right? Like, this could all happen inside of Steam.
Yeah. Ubisoft doesn't have to know.
We don't have to tell.
But Ubisoft doesn't know.
They don't need to play along is what I mean. They don't have to do anything. That would be a dream world. Then integrate all the old distribution platforms, give the option for people to customize the interface more and let people make it their own thing. I imagine a little bit of that would go a long way.
And then fucking let me play my PS1 games on my PS4 while you're at it. Let me do that, man.
Well, you can buy them again, right?
I guess so. I want to play Theme Hospital, though. That's what I'm missing out on.
You can get that for free on Origin.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, there we go.
New customer to Origin.
Yeah, good old Origin. They got my back. All right. I think we're safe now to jump into our Ask Roundtable
Have we
topic.
talked enough?
Have we met our quota?
Sorry, I'm just trying to give the people. what
No,
they
that
picked for.
worked. I like that. That was a fun one. But we are
Talk
going to
about
go
my
to...
Amiibo collection.
I don't want to. Ask
I absolutely
Roundtables,
don't
everybody's
wanna talk
favorite
about that.
segment where you email in questions to roundtableyt@gmail.com and we ask them, or we answer them. We ask them again and hope that the audience can answer them because we don't know. Today's question is... Dear Bear and crew, how mainstream do you believe Oculus Rift-related hardware will become?
Ooh.
First in gaming,
Question.
then second beyond that. This question is from Suki. Thank you very much, Suki Akure, for your question. I apologize if I mispronounced that. He gave a couple examples here as well. He says, for example, the applications, in my opinion, could be vast, from 2.5D webcams allowing you to be present in a board meeting a world away to a Google Street View app where you can log on and look through the camera of a Google Tour vehicle that drives around 24/7, which sounds fucking awesome.
I can look in people's houses.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. But more prominently, how do you guys see Oculus Rift and maybe even other VR hardware faring in the mainstream for the first little while, and then maybe a few years down the road as well?
So we're specifying, like, not specifically gaming, like the larger picture,
He sort of does both. Yeah, he says first in gaming, and then secondly beyond that.
right? Mm-hmm. Well, I think that a lot of it is going to be revealed very soon. Tomorrow is when you can first pre-order your Oculus, and I'm going to be doing that, and I don't know how much it costs.
I think
and
$350.
hopefully they'll announce it soon.
Yep.
Do you know something I don't, Mathis?
I think I read somewhere it was going to be the CV1 was going to be $350. But I mean, the DK2 when I got it was $300, so bumping it up $50. That's not
I had a
surprising.
very brief Twitter exchange with the developer and he was speculating, like, what if it's $800 or $900? Like, how is that
then it'll
gonna
never go
down?
anywhere.
Yeah.
If the DK2 was 300,
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that it will be that much. I just think, what if?
then just VR will die.
But do you think that that's
Just
an effective price point?
instantaneously.
Like $300 to $400,
like-
people will get on board?
It's tough because it's effectively buying another console. Like it's basically the price of a console.
Buying two consoles, you got to buy a freaking powerful graphics card.
But
too.
that was what I was going to say next. I'm like, you have to have a PC that can output like around 75 frames a second. That's really where a lot of motion sickness or jittering kind of stops for a lot of people. For me, that's a big problem with the DK2, or with my old PC rather, in the DK2, is that I couldn't hit that 75, and a lot of games would cause me a lot of problems, a lot of sickness. I think what's really going to push it, I think the Oculus is going to be big. I don't think 2016 is going to become like the year where it goes mainstream or anything, but I think the PS4's version of VR is where it's going to start hitting homes regularly.
Not
Because
Gear VR.
Not Gear VR, PlayStation 4's VR.
No, but Gear has potential too because it's super
Oh,
cheap, and people
yeah,
have
it's super
Samsung
cheap and it's
phones out the
mobile.
ass.
But it's not good for gaming. It's not like it's more of an experience thing.
But
Gear
do people
VR,
know that?
probably not.
Yeah.
But so the PS4 is announced. Like the PS4, I think will get into gamers' homes easier. But the PS4's VR headset, I think it was announced maybe last month, is going to come with a mini
Little
I don't know if it's
console
called
box kind of
console
thing.
box
It's,
thing that plugs in.
it's
for
basically
more,
a graphics card. on
yeah,
the
it's
screen.
basically a graphics card for the VR headset, so it can do what it needs to do without being laggy as all hell. I think in gaming, once the PS4's answer comes out and once Oculus is kind of used and HTC Vive is out there, I think we'll see it kind of hit the gaming mainstream pretty heavily. Will it be huge? I don't think so. Will it be bigger than like Kinect by a long shot? I think.
Yeah.
But will it be
Has to
mainstream
be.
outside of gaming? I don't think it will. Not right away. It'll be a while.
I think the ramp's going to look like CSGO. I think we're going to have a couple of years of early
Yeah.
adopters that are really enthusiastic. And then over time, costs will go down a little bit. More iterations that are more streamlined will come out. And more people
Cheaper.
will be curious enough that they'll jump in. And it needs to reach that critical mass before everybody wants one. And I don't think that's going
Right.
to happen for like 2 or so years.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's pretty much my perspective on it as well. I think I'm going to pre-order an Oculus tomorrow. I feel like everybody needs like that VR experience that makes them a believer
Yeah.
Before, like, if you try to explain it, you're like, "Hey, mom, you strap on a headset and it feels like you're in the game." She's never going to be interested in that, right? It's not like the Wii where you could just be like, "You bowl," and then bowls on the screen. But once you have that experience, you're like, "Oh yeah, I would pay the cost of a console for, experiences like that whenever they come out." So,
my favorite thing to do is go ahead. Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
No, please, Ryan, finish your thought.
Well, like the Oculus doesn't excite me as much as the Vive does. But the Oculus has significantly less problems, like it being portable and coming out soon. And
is the Vive a standing experience, or is it meant to be a seated? See, the Oculus is meant to be a seated experience for the most part.
The Vive puts you inside of the world.
Right.
Which is, like, I don't know how that's ever going to work. Like, if people are going to dedicate a whole room to it, or if maybe there'll be, like, VR arcades or something. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be dope.
But, like, that's actually, like 5 years off, at least.
No, it sort of exists already, actually. In Utah, they've got an entire virtual reality sort of obstacle course that they've set up.
It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
The liability on that must be wild.
Yeah, it's functional, too. Like, they've had people going through it. Apparently, it's pretty awesome.
Cool.
That does sort of bring up another point that I think is important to recognize just in the entire sense of virtual reality. I think the most successful stuff is going to be the stuff that just sort of grounds you and, as a player character, keeps you still. So games like racing games and then maybe like space sims, stuff where you're sort of in a commander seat, like Elite Dangerous as well. I'm sure Mathis knows all about that too.
I would totally play North American Truck Sim.
Oh, absolutely.
On the Oculus. Oh, that sounds great.
Euro Truck Simulator on the Oculus is awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Really good. Like when people come over who try the Oculus out, I've had like family all come over. I've had Dan Giesling try it. I always give them, the very first experience I give them is a seated experience that they can't move. It's called Sightline the Chair, I believe. Sightline the Chair might be called.
Ominous name.
Is it the one where they give you a haircut or something and you go, whoa!
Yeah, it's weird.
You put the headphones on, you can hear everything, right?
It's the one where like you sit down and as you look around, like it's like different scenery, but as you pan back, it's changed since when you've looked away.
Oh, okay.
And it constantly is changing the scene on you, and it's like really weird, and people really love it. The other one that for more gamers is I do always put them in Elite Dangerous because it's really hard for me now to play Elite Dangerous without the VR headset because it gives such a sense of scale. Again, talking about it's so hard, you have to experience it, but to sit in a cockpit and to move the joystick and throttle, like I have an actual joystick and throttle, and then watch your character's hands do exactly what you're doing, and to look down and see your body and like watch your hands move is really unreal. It's really kind of a weird experience to be like, oh, that's my hand, but it's not my hand. And then looking around the ship and being able to turn around and like see the door to your ship behind you, and it's just, and to see like the spaceport outside your window, it's fucking weird. But like once people have that experience, I agree. Like that is kind of the doorway to be like, okay, no, this is not like the Virtual Boy where it's like red in your eyes.
Virtual Boy wasn't actually virtual reality.
I'll be so disappointed if it ends up being like, shitty 3D movies or the Wii towards the end of its life cycle, where they just use it for the cheapest thrills. Like every game that comes out with Oculus support just has like an on-rails shooter section thrown in or like a roller coaster section. I'll just be like, oh, here we go.
Just one scene where somebody throws a basketball at you and you're like, whoa!
Exactly. Somebody like does a spit take into the camera and the water drop. You're like, it's 3D. I get it.
I think this is hugely important, actually. Touching on the genres that are going to actually prop up this platform will make or break this to some extent, because I think a lot of people are fatigued from the concepts of things like Wii, where they expect a thing and then they get this sort of filtered through mass media version of the thing that is completely insubstantive. So if that's the major saturating sentiment that people get from VR, they're going to not give a shit. So we need to, it needs to be a thing that these are actually quality experiences that are easy to access, things that are well known by people, and play to the strengths of VR and aren't just quick one-offs that you put VR in the title of the game and you move on.
Yeah, I mean, those will exist, but I think, again, I haven't played Elite in VR in like 6 or 7 months, but even when I played it back then, it's a wild experience. It's so weird. It's really cool. And even the screen door effect, as they call it, where you can kind of see the pixels a little bit, It wasn't that bad in DK2 at all. Like, didn't hinder it at all for me.
I read it's almost entirely gone in the final version with the
That was a
exception
huge
of white.
thing. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's easier to see in white, but I'm excited for it. But I love like simulation games. I think simulation games are going to thrive in the VR experience.
Yeah.
I feel like the people who play those are more okay with, like, wouldn't, if you were like a huge flight sim player and had like a track IR and like
I do.
exactly, you would look at like a $350 investment and be like, that's not that bad. You know, if I was
because you're
getting
going to get a ton of use out of it.
you can use it for everything, right? If I was buying like a good set of pedals and like the joystick and throttle, that could be up there for sure, right? And it seems like the Oculus is more ubiquitous than that. So I think, you know, those people are going to be the early adopters that have a chance to kind of drive it forward. But I do think my experience with VR so far has been that it's word of mouth. You kind of have to experience it for the first time in order to actually understand why it could be important. And I do think there is a risk of people just not caring. People never getting a chance to try it and then being like, why would I ever use that?
It's very possible.
I've sort of had not terrific experiences with VR up to this point, to
What
be
have you
honest.
used?
I've had it for Race the Sun, and I used it for Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. But that was admittedly for a build that was a couple of years old, so maybe that was part of the problem. But I don't know. It also wasn't dev kit Oculus that was worn by probably 100 people over the course of a weekend. So that also could be part of the concern. But I mean, it's like you said. I think a lot of it has to do with word of mouth, and I think overall we've got the technology is there, and I don't think that's the issue anymore, which is encouraging. I think we have what we need to make effective virtual reality right now, which is really exciting. It's just going to be a matter of well, the fact that isn't an issue sort of makes me wonder what will be. It'll be like the marketing, I guess, is going to be a huge part of it, the comfort of the headset, and then just the accessibility of games that actually make good use of it. So it's up to the people making the products for VR rather than the people making the VR itself at this point, in my opinion.
Except for the Vive. With the Vive, they got to find some way to. People are not gonna, if they're not gonna buy a headset to put on their head that makes them look a little silly in the privacy of their own home, they're not gonna wire up a bunch of motion tracking cameras.
They're not going to get the
ceiling.
fucking Omni 6-foot circle that tracks your full body range of motion set up inside their living room.
Oh, that
either,
like
right?
the treadmill?
Yeah.
But I mean, those have controllers. But like it's such a good experience. And the Vive is the kind of thing where when people do it, they'll be like, "This is the future of some form of media in some way or another." But you also, like, even Kate and I played it and we're like, whoa, this is incredible. We cannot fucking do this, though, in our present state. If you're a VR game developer, you can dedicate a room to the Vive. But if you're not, you can't have people over and be like, oh, we don't have any furniture because this is where we enter the virtual world and, escape planet Earth.
One day that won't be so far-fetched, man. You'll be able to tell your guests that.
More interesting VR experiences that I've had at home is I've tried that the virtual like movie theater thing. It's actually pretty interesting. I wouldn't say it nails the movie theater vibe, but it might be just because the DK2 doesn't have the resolution to really make it look incredible. But that's really cool too. I think like for home theater uses, maybe like Gear VR would be better suited for that. But home theater uses of just sitting down and watching a movie on a big screen in front of you could be. I mean, it was kind of cool when I did it, and I could see it being even better as the tech gets better.
Wouldn't it be better if they just didn't have the seats and the curtains in the movie theater though? Like,
maybe you can toggle that off.
I mean, it feels like
that's something you get rid of.
it'd be like a bigger screen if they just didn't have that stuff taking space.
Yeah.
It's all about that like pseudo immersion where they think they're paying lip service to immersion when it's not even necessary, really.
I guess it gives you a sense of scale too, if you can see the chair in front of you and then be like, "Whoa, that screen is huge."
Like chat, Ryan, call that room the holodeck.
I could, man.
This is the
I'll try to
holodeck.
pitch it to Kate. We'll move from a 1-bedroom into a 2-bedroom, and then the second can be the 5.
Hey Mathis, I got a question. What's the longest you've had your headset on?
couple of hours.
Oh, that is a good question. Yeah.
How was the fatigue with your eyes and other things?
So, like, for me, the headset's not that heavy. DK2 isn't that heavy. It didn't bother me that much. What got me is the motion sickness, which I think is going to be a lot of a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is going to sound really weird. The thing that killed me wasn't even necessarily the motion sickness, but the smell of the DK2.
Oh no,
like
that's
That's a thing I
damning.
never thought to
But
ask.
you would think, I know, really weird. But like, you know, like a new car smell has like a very particular. Every car smells
Yeah, I know
like.
what you mean.
So like the TK2 has a really weird like plasticky smell.
It's like
and
you've walked into a room of plastic now.
Okay,
and
It's
you're
really
in
weird.
that
It's not
And
like
it
it
makes
smells
me
like ass. It's
No,
just
no.
like a smell that's going to go away after a few days.
It just makes me sick. Like it makes
Dude,
like.
I'm really glad to hear that because there's like certain new car smells that aggravate my motion sickness like crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I
yes,
get it.
it's exactly the thing. And the DK, and I've let it like I've Googled it. Other people have this problem. Like let it air out outside for like a day or whatever. I'm like I'm not leaving my Oculus
Let it
outside for
air
a day.
out.
They're going to
That's
include
it's
that. That's going to
gone.
be like instruction number 1 in the little pamphlet that they
Put it in your
put with the
driveway.
Oculus.
like,
Go set it outside for a couple of hours
Yeah.
before you use it.
But the foam and like the plastic smell has like made my motion sick 100 times worse
Yeah.
than without it. And other games like what's that one with ropes that you can swing around? It's going to be Oculus compatible.
Oh, that was
Win
on the...
win something.
Is that one of the ones that's coming with the Oculus?
No. But that's what kills me when I want to take it off. It doesn't bother my head. The weight didn't really bother me all that much, but it was the motion sickness combined with the smell of like the Oculus. I was like, I got to take this off. I'm going to vomit. Like, and I can't play the Oculus for like a week after that happens. Like, I have to wait like before I can. Because thinking about it, even thinking about it, makes me sick. Like,
That's
after it happens.
God, you're making this out to be like kind of a big problem though.
Again, like disclaimer, ever since I was a little kid, like I was super prone to being motion sick, and I would like vomit in the car constantly.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, so
They need to set it up with that, like, the old-timey, like, nose cone doctor thing where you, like, put some incense in the end of
yeah.
it. But you didn't get, like, headaches or anything from, like, staring at it too much?
no, the
I mean, I don't know how it's that different from a monitor. It's just closer
Yeah.
to your eyes, so I
the
don't know.
nausea is the thing that
You
made me
can't
take
like
it off
you
every
can't
time.
install Flux on your Oculus is the thing, so you don't really have that advantage.
I'm sure you can after when it comes out. People will have it.
The hacked version.
No, that's the next thing is, like, compatibility and, like, how easy to install is it? We
Yeah.
don't know yet.
Even
'Cause
for the DK2,
The DK was not easy, right?
It was all right. It was not like
It was the first DK that I heard a lot of bad stories about, I guess.
I never. Yeah, DK2 wasn't too bad.
Developer kit, by the way.
The
for
first
those
DK
curious.
No, Donkey Kong.
Cranky Kong. Cranky Kong was the first Donkey Kong.
Cranky
Is
Kong is
Donkey
Mathis right here.
Is Donkey Kong his name, or is Donkey Kong the title you get when you're the king of the
Yeah,
Kong?
no, he's the number 1 Kong.
Like Donkey is
Yeah,
like
you become a
Eminem.
donkey.
So Diddy Kong will eventually be Donkey Kong.
Diddy Kong
If
is
he's
actually
lucky.
like the number 4 Kong. I
What?
think it goes Donkey, Carly, Cranky Diddy. I'm pretty sure is the order.
Carly Kong?
What's her name?
Candy?
Candy. That's the one.
And
Yeah,
Carly
Donkey
Kong.
Kong.
Carly Kong is their
Kong.
aunt. She doesn't show up very often.
So what's Donkey Kong's real name?
Charles.
Charles Kong.
Charles Kong. It's a nice name. It's got a ring to it.
CK. I think we'll be in bigger problems
Nice. Yeah, CK2 is different from DK2.
That's
It's
in
a lot
Calvin
more
Klein.
boring. Boom.
Boom.
Shots
I'm
fired
wild.
at Crusader Kings 2 fans out there. I know you guys are an adamant bunch about
I can't wait
defending-
to be Isaac.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we
I can't wait
need.
to cry tears.
It'll just be a first-person mode when you put on the Oculus, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're opening up Isaac, it just knows.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Suki, for your question. That was an awesome question. Thank you very much for that one. Appreciate it. If you've got a question you want to send us in, you can go to your email client and send an email to
Open up
roundtableyt@gmail.com.
Thunderbird and fire us off the old electronic mail.
Get on to DuckDuckGo and do a search for Bing Mail.
Duck go.
Yeah, it's
Just update your
roundtableyt.
Outlook client and CC me on that. That'd be great.
Roundtableyt@gmail.com. Time for everybody's favorite segment following their favorite segment. It is Nick's Weird Games. Every single week, Nick goes to get a weird game from his selection of weird games, and we as a group try to guess which one it is based off of little hints he gives us. You can play along as well in chat if you are watching live on twitch.tv/roundtablepodcast. We'll give you a little shout out if you're the first one to come up with it. Nick's gonna go get his weird game, and while he does that, Ryan's gonna perform us a little Nick's Weird Game theme song. I've heard some requests for Devo.
Oh, dude, I don't think I can do it.
You don't think so?
I don't know
what
enough
that is.
Devo, unfortunately.
You just want to do Whip It?
Well, I mean, I know like 4 words in Whip It.
I know it's late. We could just do like
When
a
a Nick
Christmas
game
themed
comes
one.
along, you must guess it. You know,
I'm
go with
okay
that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. How about
That was
a
good.
Christmas rendition? We
I
can
don't
do
do
that.
like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Knicks games.
Sure. You don't have to do that. We won't make you do that one.
That's a tough one.
Just anything festive, really.
All right. Have an obscure, crappy Nick game. Came out for the Saturn. In 96, it sucks a dick and doesn't really matter.
Yes, I have to do it too, man. This is the only way we're going to do
What are you
this.
doing? I don't even know. I don't have you up on my screen.
I stopped.
Oh, okay.
No one's thought about it for ages. Well, that doesn't stop our friend. He'll get the game from his bookshelf that never seems to end.
Yeah,
Hey!
nice. That was good. That was good.
Thank you. I tried.
All
you
right.
know.
Nick, what is your weird game? Don't tell me it. Describe it to
Oh,
me.
you know, yeah, I could just tell you, right? Like, that would really make the game a lot of fun then.
Right.
Yeah, I'll just say the name of it now.
Sure.
Okay. So we've got a PS2 game today, as is often the case. It is a PS2 game that came out in North America in 2004,
It's the bouncer.
April 20th, 2004 of all days.
Oh, shit, son.
Okay, you got to
That's-
guess right there.
That's 420, dog.
I
Yeah.
got the joke.
Yeah,
There,
you
that's
did.
420.
It is 420. I
you
muted
didn't
my
get
mic
it yet.
because there's a giant garbage truck outside, but it is 420. I'll acknowledge that.
That's your dad's house.
See, I was gonna go like, oh, Ryan's there, but like that's dumb and didn't make sense. But you tried.
I tried.
All right, I'm back.
You done? All right, so we've got a game that was, let's see, published by Sony Computer Entertainment. I can't tell you the developer because it's a spoiler, unfortunately.
Oh. Oh, well, that
and
actually,
it's-
that's almost a spoiler in and of itself,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it might be, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to grant you that spoiler if
All
that's
right.
the case.
Wait, what?
It is a survival horror game.
Oh God.
And
Dino Crisis 2.
No,
It's gotta be.
it takes a look at different stages that are interconnected via the butterfly effect. And I know you're going to guess Until Dawn. That's not from 2003.
That wasn't.
Or
at
4,
all.
rather.
Oh, I gotta minimize chat. All right. Yeah,
That would be ideal, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything.
Survivor horror PS2 game.
Survival oral game.
Dude, that would be the best VR genre.
Yeah, you gotta
Survival
blow your
horror.
way out of this mysterious mansion.
Where so you saying butterfly effects? So like whatever you do changes whatever. Okay.
That's the idea, yes.
That's the idea.
Sony.
So on the back, there's a few things I can read.
Yeah, hit me.
Resist the Call is one of them.
Call of Cthulhu.
No, it actually doesn't imply anything about the title.
Martian
you-
Gothic.
Now it's PS1, but good call going out on a limb there. You play as one of 10 characters caught in a
patronize.
living nightmare. 10 characters. That's a lot more characters
Is
than
it
you
Big
usually-
Brother the video game?
Is it Dan Giesling's My Biography?
Dan Giesling's horror game. By Nicholas.
It's just, oh, if he made one, I wish he would call it that. It's just like a
Clive.
picture of his face on the box art. Dan Giesling's horror game.
American Alice.
You said it's
Wasteland.
PS2?
PS2. The back of the box says S-Force. I
Who's
don't know
the-
who that is or
Give
what.
me the
That's not
developer.
hard.
I think we need the
I can't give you
developer.
the developer. I can't do it.
Oh.
I think
I don't know
S-Force
who-
is probably like a middleware company that made like the lighting engine or
Yeah,
something.
that's probably right.
What the fuck?
Okay, I'm going to give you the formational bit that you either make or break from.
Okay.
Okay.
You have 3 days to learn how their paths intersect, the 10 characters, I mean,
3 days.
as they try to stay alive. Survival depends on your ability to sight jack. Or
Oh,
the-
okay.
to see-
Wait,
yeah,
I
it's
thought that was a PS3 game.
Well, I could explain that after you guess
Okay.
it, but it's
Siren.
definitely on PS2. Oh, you just said it.
Yeah.
Okay,
got
yeah,
it.
you're right.
I knew what you were saying. So you said Sight Jack. It made I thought
What
that
is
What was it?
Siren?
Siren.
That's a PS2 game?
I've
it
seen
was
that
PS3.
before.
Don't believe me, it's right there.
No, I know obviously, but like I thought it was. I
There's a
explained,
disc in
'cause-
everything, I promise.
No,
Yeah.
explain to me. Did they re-release it?
Yeah, so they made a second iteration that was, I guess, a spiritual sequel reimagination of it on PS3. That was like a PSN downloadable version.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
Known as
Siren.
Forbidden Siren in the PAL regions.
Oh, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you were talking about Forbidden Siren.
Right, man. Yeah, we didn't get it until then.
I will
Mathis
not
got it.
rest until video games don't show up in the other media and arts category on video game when you search Siren. Film and television has its own category, yet we're lumped in here with the magazines.
Other media.
Other media.
Ew.
You said 3 days. Chat's like Majora's Mask. I thought Majora's Mask too.
Yeah.
I'm looking up through here. I think our winner today is, I see Acid Penguin is probably the first.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Nice.
see any others?
I don't.
It's the earliest I see.
Congratulations, you get to
Congrats.
come back next week and launch again.
Yeah.
You get to play one of our Korean champions for a chance at $500,000.
The real league.
You won't win, I promise.
All right. Well done, Mathis. We get another
This
point.
is so PS2, man. Rather than employ traditional facial animation methods with polygonal transformation, images of real human faces were captured from 8 different angles and
Oh, the emotion
superimposed
shit.
onto the character models. 8 angles, dog.
What?
That means if you were the face only changed every 45 degrees. That's horrifying.
Oh, God. That's awesome.
That's the PS2, man.
That is awesome. All right. Congrats, Mathis/us, for our
Us,
accomplishment.
we did it together, friends.
That's right. And that is going to do it for this episode of Roundtable Live. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. If you're tuning in live with us here on twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast, I want to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters over on patreon.com/roundtable. Still going. If you'd like to support the show, that is by far the best way to do it. Even $1 a month helps. Go over to patreon.com/roundtable to support. I want to thank this episode's contributors, which include and are not limited to Christopher Flagg, Matt, Air Force Balls, Alexander Spillman, General Crunk, Jonathan Graham, Julian Abelsgard, Kevin Birkland, David Bradley, Gish Vandervet, Logan Ray, Smurfette, Super Monoman, Mediocrities, Myth Scarab, Zur, Simph, Kevin L. Cy, Kangaroo Walker, Ignacio 0891, Brizzlebrip, Casey, Positron, and Justin. Thank you guys very much for your continued support on Patreon. Really appreciate that. Go rate the show on iTunes if you're listening over there. 5 stars helps us out a lot, as well as downloading the show on SoundCloud. And go over to the subreddit. That is roundtablepodcast.reddit.com to discuss today's and other episodes. Also, feel free to check out our YouTube channels for the VOD. If you missed any part of the show here, you can catch it over on 3 of these 4. These ones, including me, if you want to go there. And that is it. Thank you guys very much for watching the show today, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Peace.